You know, there's one downside of having video technology for the podcast, Chuck, and you know what that is?
What's that, Connor?
On really hot days like today, I have to have a shirt on instead of normally when we didn't, I'd be shirtless right now and in shorts only because it's hot as hell in this room.
Why are you wearing shorts?
I mean,
we do have a lady with us, so
you know, I want to be proper. I can't. It feels weird to like Pooh Bear the outfit, you know, like only have a shirt on but not shorts on.
That's what I was gonna say. I think Chuck just admitted that he Pooh Bears it around.
Yeah.
Like I found out that Mickey Mousing is actually a thing. It's just where you should wear shorts and not a top. So
I mean, like I definitely Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, I Mickey Mouse all the time.
Yeah, you know, I do that. I have a Mickey Mouse tattoo, so like, of course I do.
Do you really?
Blah blah blah. Vox Cascadia podcast.
Yeah. Welcome, Max. Thanks for joining us again. We're going to talk about Nemesis Ops and all of the cool stuff that was released with that. And
we are, and there's a whole lot of fun stuff with that. Let's see. It was books. Mm-hmm. Books were. This might be a struggle for some of you. We're reading things today, so don't worry. There are a lot of pictures though, so hopefully that'll be able, like much like if you show up at a Denny's drunk, you can struggle your way through it.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody ever goes to Denny's on purpose. You just kind of wash up there on the shore.
I mean, like I've gone to Denny's on purpose, but like it's when I lived in like little shithole towns, you know.
I've never been at a Denny's because I've been making a good decision. Let me put it that way.
It wasn't a good decision. I agree with that.
On that note, R.I.P. Shari's, the Northwest institution.
Like rest and piss, you mean, right? Like,
no, I fucking loved Shari's.
Fuck Shari's.
I don't think I've ever. I think I've maybe been to Denny's like once or twice. It was always Shari's.
Shari's. I hate Shari's.
I have only seen. Okay, so Christina and I made it up here to the Pacific Northwest in May of 2021, and Shari's hadn't closed down yet, but we still hadn't gone there. So there's mostly just one in East Bremerton that's this really rough looking, kind of ominous, kind of husk of what used to be a restaurant.
Mm-hmm. So the Shari's,
okay.
Yeah, mm-hmm. pretty normal.
Yeah. Okay, so it was like that beforehand.
That's peak actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's frozen in amber. That is how it was in its prime. Got it.
Yes. Absolutely. Shari's was shit always. Like it was never.
It was
good.
Our shit.
No,
okay?
it wasn't even good.
They had like good chicken fried steak. They had fucking pies all the time.
I mean, the pies were the only thing that was redeeming, and like they were 24 hours. I remember one time I went.
They
to
were
Shari's.
cheap too for like as a broke high school and like back in town from college kid. That was the best.
I went to Shari's and I ordered some buffalo wings. Okay, and they bring them out and they're fucking frozen. Like I bite into it and it's like fucking frozen. I'm like, yo, you need to send me out some wings, you know.
Okay, did you request that they cook it, or
yeah, you know, I mean, like I just ordered them normal, and so like they take my wings and they microwave them for like 20 seconds and bring me out the same one that I just like bitten out, like fucking piece of chicken hanging off of it, and I'm like, what the fuck is this, you know? And she's like, what do you mean? These are your chicken wings? And I was like, yeah, they're the same fucking chicken wings, but you didn't prepare them properly the first time. So go cook me some new, fresh fucking chicken wings. Like, is that too much to ask? I don't think so. Apparently. You know, looked at me like I was crazy. And I was like, look at this. I never ate a Shari's after that.
Okay, so
apparently we found Tyler's Nemesis, which is Shari's.
In terms of menu and quality and the pie thing, there are Perkins, like what we had in the Midwest, which
Perkins was way better. I mean, Perkins was better than, when I lived in the Midwest. I'd prefer Perkins over Shari's every time. Better quality food, although I think they're attached to some like right-wing religious cult. So, like that's...
Who isn't, you know?
Like day-to-day Midwest stuff, like, right?
I mean, in the Midwest, Chuck, not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
The future is exhausting.
Get in the comments and tell us where your favorite place to go after a concert when you're still drunk is.
Yeah, it used to be Roxy's downtown Portland. Like, shout out to another one that's gone.
Mine was a pizza by the Slice Place in Westport in Kansas City that apparently closed sometime after I left because we can't have nice things.
If anybody's actually ever seen a Shari's too, by the way, they were octagon-shaped buildings. Now, and like before the UFC was a thing, and so the kitchen was in the middle, and all the seating was like around it. So I think like everywhere you had like a window seat basically, and I for a long time they still had smoking sections too.
So that's why they were actually
smoking and gambling.
wings. for Sherry's, just because one wing was the smoking section and one wing was the not smoking section.
So it's like open concept kitchen, everybody just watching like the line crew the entire time where they were cooking food. That sounds nightmarish.
No, they had like
you couldn't
fake
see
flowers. They had like fake flowers and like oak, like orange oak paneling everywhere.
Yeah, you didn't want to see it. You didn't want to see them cooking it up.
Yeah, definitely not. Like Sherry's is like discount Denny's. Like like at least we got like the Denny's throwdown. Like what the fuck is up, Denny's?
Discount Denny's is a horrible phrase.
I don't know. I thought Sherry's was delicious. I always got you get the scrambles, like they had like a chicken fried steak scramble. That was back when I ate meat. Delicious. I'm telling you, that hit the spot on many a Sunday morning post Saturday evenings. Because I like to go out and party. And when I say party, it was usually World of Warcraft.
Nice.
Yeah. But we're not here to talk about Sherry's. We're here to talk about the new Nemesis Operatives and the new way to play Kill Team. Max, we had you on a while ago to talk about just joint ops in general and the PvE portion of it, and since then it's expanded quite a bit. So we want to make sure we bring you back on and talk about the new one that's come out with the Terror Devlan box came out. You got the Red Terror in it and the Spectre Squad, and then alongside that came out the Nemesis book where you can actually use you can have a Redemptor Dreadnought along with 2 Space Marines and play actual Kill Team. So gentlemen, have you started this yet? And Max, I know you've dove into it quite a bit, but have you guys had a chance to get in any of the new stuff yet?
I actually haven't picked up my book for it yet, so yeah,
awesome.
I've seen the rules online. I've looked at them a little bit. I'm excited to maybe build a hero. This feels like a Commanders update, like a stealth Commanders version.
That might be a good way to put it. Connor, did you get to dive into it yet?
I've read through the book, but haven't actually played any Nemesis ops yet.
Yeah. Nick and I played the Amble and the Zote missions, and maybe get into that a little bit later. But Max, you're driving this ship today.
Okay, so let's go ahead and really quickly, so we have a nice smooth ride here. Let's get some other things that will sidetrack us out of the way. Let's see. Taco Bell, oil paints, feed. I think that's all the major bases. Moving on. So,
Carl.
Yes, thank you. God damn it! It's always forget that one.
Yeah, as you should. I mean, it's supposed.
I haven't read it. I don't know. I have no strong opinions one way or another, except for the fact that the line for him signing stuff at Emerald City Comic Con really clogged up Artist Alley, and I almost lost my wife 5 times. She's very small. Okay, so the Nemesis Ops book. You brought up Terron Devlin, and I would have liked to have that box, but I had to kind of prioritize what I was going to do spending-wise, and I felt like I couldn't justify the box and everything. So I hope everybody's having fun with the Red Terror missions. I'd love to be able to play them one of these days. Anyway, I figured the smart thing to do would be to get the things that enables me to play with more of my toys, because I have a bunch of random 40k models in general, because I like to paint things, like to collect things. I just ambiently collect Necrons somehow. I don't really know. I'm a Necron player in 40k somehow. I'm still not sure how that happened. So I have a lot of things, a lot of big things, and this has been a nice thing that's made it so I have kind of looked at some of my hobby pile of stuff, because I did downsize recently. Discordia did have another swap meet. I got rid of a decent chunk of my Sisters of Battle that I got when I came back into the hobby in 2020, because I got excited there was plastic ones, and I got rid of a bunch of stuff, and I also traded with some people and got some nice fun things. So, but it made me go and kind of reevaluate what I wanted to keep, because what could work in Nemesis Ops, both to be attached to kill teams or could be used for NPO purposes. I kept my Paragon warsuits, and I've kind of been splitting them up across the community. Grant got my unbuilt one, so he can add them to his Celestians. I've got another one on deck to give to somebody else for the same reason. I have one of the old Firstborn era Dreadnoughts that I went and in span of a week paint stripped and repost and refurbish, and that is now the Nemesis that goes with my Death Watch, and we'll be getting into that later, because my Death Watch team is who I always put into the Torment Nexus to go and test all the narrative things that I do.
It probably
person
cannot
team.
match your Death Watch Dreadnought cannot match the Dreadnought that I won at the event from Emily that the Western Isle folks actually ran. While you're going, I have to show this because it's
Go for it.
the best. Okay,
Let's
so
see.
keep continue.
We'll compare and contrast here. I also know that, speaking of, and we'll get into like sizes and stuff here, I did see the old model box knots and the Redemptors side by side at the Discordia swap meet, and god damn, I understand why the Nemesis Op book has an example for a Redemptor Dreadnought it lists as large, because those guys are massive.
They're so big.
Like, the size difference between the Redemptor and the old Dreadnought is the same thing as like a Primaris and a Firstborn. It's kind of ridiculous.
Even bigger, I feel like. Okay. That's
So this was an original box knot that Emily had painted. By the way, to give the comparison side by side, I grabbed my Redemptor too.
Don't talk to me or my son ever again.
Yes,
definitely.
Damn, box knots are tiny. As
Yeah,
someone
they
that's like,
are.
they used to be huge too. Is the thing.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, in
Chuck, do
comparison,
you have a Contemptor build? I want to see how that like the new Contemptor compared to the
like,
box.
if you want
I
to
do,
have
actually.
a good,
Hold please.
like, if you want to have a good comparison, like the old box knot here, and then right next to it, like a modern Primaris Marine. Like,
That's hilarious.
yeah. All right, so
Don't hold. Keep
just gonna
talking.
set you down there for now. So I went and did 3 things using the Nemesis rules this past week, because I knew that Chuck and Nick were doing the stuff with the Anvil and the Anvil and the Zote, which
That's
I don't
not
have
a
those
Contemptor,
models, and I
but
didn't
that is
run
pretty
that
sweet.
yet.
Leviathan.
That's a
Well,
Leviathan.
Is this a Contemptor then? I got all the Dreadnoughts.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the red. That's a Contemptor. Okay, so it's about the size of a box knot, maybe a little bigger.
It's taller than a box knot. Sorry we interrupted you, Max.
It's okay. I'm used. It's okay. So where was I? Okay, so I did 3 different things using Nemesis rules. The first one, and the thing that I think a lot, people are going on about how, yes, they can make the big thing with the rules. There's the Nemesis builder. There's pre-made scenarios for a couple stuff like that. One of the things, because it's not in the book itself, it's all based off of like the card deck that comes with it. There's a lot of pre-built this NPO profiles for things ranging from Talfire warriors to orcs to like, specifics for like Space Marines and like guard and stuff like that. And they all have a little bit of like specifics with war gear and rules, and also their stat profiles and stuff like that. And there's also like the factions. Yes, thank you, just like that, Chuck. And also the faction-specific rules, like there's a Necron faction right one that is the living metal thing that everybody loves so much, where they heal at the start of the turning point. Tyranids have one where they do not actually suffer the effects of being injured. Stuff like that. So I did 3 things. The first one is I just overlaid the new NPO stuff into a pre-existing scenario. So I did the Orc Submarine thing, and I did those with the Orc data cards for NPOs, and just kind of ran it that way. So just had the stat blocks for them overlaid, as well as what their faction rule was, instead of just using generic guys that would have been in the core rule book. After that, I went and it just inserted a Nemesis as one of my playable operators into a pre-existing scenario. In this case, I went into the Typhon mission pack, and I did the first of the Typhon missions with my Death Watch, where I just swapped out 2 of the Death Watch guys, and I put the Dreadnought in. And we'll get into that in a bit. And then the third one, I just did a thing just purely out of the rule book, the Nemesis book, the first scenario, just 5 my Death Watch guys versus Necrons, and I actually went in. What happened there is I went and had Olivia go, a friend of the show, Olivia, I just said, build stats and make stats for this guy here. And this is the Sorpic Destroyer Lord that came with the Necron Royal Court in the Dominus box, and Olivia went and gave this thing very nasty stats that we'll get into how that went a bit later. So that is what I did.
That is a Scorpac Lord, so
Yes.
it's going to be gnarly.
Yeah, spoiler alert, he killed 2 out of 5 of the Death Watch guys all by himself, and almost got a 3rd. Because Olivia decided to give him a melee weapon that was ceaseless.
So would this be a good time to talk about the do you want to talk about now how you build like a Nemesis operative?
That is a great time to do that. So the way that the Nemesis Op stuff works here is you do have a nice little, you don't have any, you technically have like a points buy thing, I guess, in way of like how weapon stuff works, because it's based off the size. So you can choose what the size of your Nemesis Operative is from small, medium to large. There isn't any actual like hard guidance on base sizes or anything that the book gives and requires for that, so you can kind of just judge it based how you see it and kind of figure it out from there.
They do
My
kind of give you a couple examples in the book, though.
they do
where they
give a couple of examples where I think, what is it, the example they give for like a small one, because they have 4 pre-built Nemesis things using their system. The example they give for a small is just like a basic like Italic Crisis suit. A medium, they have a one of the armored sentinel walkers for guard. The Redemptor Dreadnought and like a Carnifex they have as large, and that's about what they do there. So they assume I think like what are crisis suits on? They aren't on 40s anymore, are they? Like my experience with Tau like battle suits is when they first came out.
Honestly,
I'll check.
Okay, but you get the idea. It is small, medium, large. They don't have activation like, points per se like a regular operative. What they have is a stat called control, which determines for all intents and purposes when it comes to contested objectives what their activation points count as. They do have basically
are on 50s.
Okay, 50s, gotcha. They have, for all intents and purposes, like 5 APL they can use, and they can be activated twice in a turning point. Not one after another. It's different rules depending on scenario and such like that. If the player controlled operative, you cannot activate them again until after all of your other people have gone.
It's kind of similar to like the Patriarch, right? If any, or I think from what I can tell, it's similar to the Patriarch.
I've never played Brood Brothers, so somebody else would have to go and verify that.
Yeah, the Patriarch can activate. If I remember from my time playing them, they can activate twice with up to 4 APL total. You chose how much APL you wanted, and you could only move, I think, up to like 9 inches still. But the Nemesis Operatives, you can activate them twice. They have 2 APL each time, essentially, right? As far as for using for the purpose of doing stuff.
My read on this is that they can only expend a total of like 5 APL, like through the entire turning point across to 2 actions. So let's say you have 5 moves as like a resource. So when I was going and testing out and doing stuff, I was occasionally splitting this up between like just maybe use 3 APL during one of the activations and like the other 2 APL in the other one. So I don't know if that is the correct way to do it or you just said, but I read 5 APL total for the entire turning point. They can activate twice.
Where are you getting that number from? Are you getting it from their like control number? And
I got that. No, I got that out of the book here. I'd have to go and look exactly where that is because, oh god, there is a lot of stuff going on in here. It is, let's see, core rules. Okay, bulky, yada 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 yada. Ignore all changes to these opposite APL.
Real quick, Max, while you're looking for that, Connor, you said you got the book. What do you think overall of the book? Do you think you think it's a good value for what it is, or do you think it's a little light?
Honestly, for the amount of fun rules in it, it seems to be pretty solid. I think it's only like a $40 book, which is honestly surprisingly cheap. And that's like if you don't have any sort of discount at your store, which I know a lot do. Mm-hmm. The big thing that surprised me is it comes in. I'm getting away, but like one of the like a little sheet like this. This is the Devlan one, so it's not the exact one. I think I already tossed it because it comes with like data cards and stuff. Yeah, perfect. Comes with like some data cards pre-built, which is kind of fun.
Pretty decent amount. Yeah. Like about 13 of those are for the sake of when you're running like scenarios out of the book here where they are enemy like Nemesis Operatives. You do the card draws based off of scenarios to see what activates, if it's a regular NPO or if it's the Nemesis, which is kind of wonky and a little interesting. I do see over here, so like going back to, let's see, page like 20 here when discussing like the core rules, it does bring up under like bulky here that, you ignore all changes to this operative APL if it's a player operative. APL changes don't affect the 5 APL you can spend per turning point. Okay. So there's a hard number in there. Yeah, so speaking of what, since I'm on this page, all Nemesis Operatives do have like some core rules and some stuff here. They do have, based off what their size is, they do have like a set amount of hit points. Small ones, 35, medium ones are 50, and a large one is 75 hit wounds. So that's potentially really, beefy and really hardy. 6-inch move across the board, 4+ save across the board. Although, based off their core rules, they do have an extra defense die. And before we get into like that any further, just what is your experience, Chuck, with the extra defense die there when it comes to fighting these things? Because one more die doesn't sound, with so like it all being a corpse, doesn't sound in like, abstract, like it's going to be that big of a difference. But it is in my experience.
It's so huge.
Yeah, it made a difference. And I think don't they most of them ignore, or the guy, I think the when we played against the Amble, I think he ignores piercing too.
They've got a bit more fiddly specific rules, I've noticed, because they're more bespoke made than ones you can make in the Nemesis builder. Not quite to the extent where, like the Nightbringer and the Red Terror, they're spiritually Nemesis Operatives, but they don't count as them and use any of the same rules. They are like so like kind of handcrafted for their scenarios that a lot of this stuff doesn't apply to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, I think anytime you can roll an extra dice for saves, it makes a difference. Even if
it might be
especially when you're saving on 4s.
Yeah, it might be one of the most powerful abilities in the game because it like means you have the ability that even 4 hits don't guarantee damage. It's
4 hits to the point where my I was running earlier today is when I did the thing. Actually, I had the Nemesis book here, and in between 2 of my Death Watch operatives, this landing shots on this Destroyer Lord, who is the Nemesis, when it had 1 hit point left. Because of all of those dice, even if it was taking shots from someone that was piercing 1, it was still making saves, and it survived about, I think, at least 2 activations worth of attacks with 1 hit point left because of the amount of saves dice it could roll.
I mean, wasn't that Custodes in the last edition at the start? They had 4 saves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was it 4 saves or was it 2 ups or was it?
I think it was both.
I'm glad they're out of the game regardless. Jesus Christ. Like, you rest in piss compendium. So.
For real.
Yeah, but there are 3 core rules that like all Nemesis Operators have. Kind of. One of them is the extra defense, but I have an extra defense die. Another one is that they are counted as being bulky. So that goes and influences a few things about how it can't get on vantage terrain that is up like a certain amount over in the kill zone. If they perform fight actions, you have more space, like kind of directionality from when they can actually like do that. They ignore changes to the APL. And the other one is something called towering size, where it deals a lot with concealment and being like in cover. And something that I have noticed is that the book assumes that anybody that you're making with this system is going to have that towering size thing because they're assuming that you're making big boys. But on their stat stuff in the book, the Amble and the Archivist don't have that. Why not with those, but everything else that plays?
I mean, neither of them are towering for sure.
Not especially.
Like, what if you want to like make like a really gnarly Chaos Lord coming in and beating on people?
Yeah, so
like that. So like if you just small, that wouldn't be towering, right?
No. One of my original ideas for a Nemesis here is because Connor and I are in a narrative league for Kill Team over here in like our neck of the woods, and one of the ideas I had is the that Path of Command model that was the Story Universal one, the Eldar Artak. I did get that painted up, and I did look through and stat from like kind of and get an idea of how he could work mechanically as a Nemesis. But given the fact he's no taller or bigger than any of the Blades of Cain he'd be attached to, the towering thing, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So maybe there'll be, I don't know, if people want to get more creative making guys who are a little bit smaller with the small category, maybe there'll be some kind of errata for that. Maybe the community will think of a clever way to just remove the towering thing with certain circumstances. Who could say?
That's my like hope, because I want to add in a lot of the troops that have wings. We have Raptors. Let's do it for all the other ones like Taraxi and the new Corsairs with wings, and a lot of just other kind of like elite infantry rather than just big boys.
I have a Farseer and an Artak, paint up for that narrative league that I love for you guys to have a chance to kill thanks to the Nemesis rules. But we'll see. So that's kind of the idea where, okay, so you have the core rules, and then based off of the size of the Nemesis Operative, you get weapon choices off of this weapon list. The small and the medium get 2 weapon choices, large gets 3. Some of the weapons, they count as like 2 picks if they're especially like strong. Every Nemesis Operative gets like a faction trait depending on if they're Imperium, Chaos, Necron, Eldar, what have you. And they also just like get another trait you can go ahead and give them. If you want, you can sacrifice one of your weapon picks to get like another trait, and they'll do like different things mechanically. So you can make them real obnoxious. So that kind of as the baseline there. how did things go against the Anvil? Okay, so were you and Nick playing like against one another and the Nemesis was running around, or is it against the thing?
So we did so we didn't get in a fight, like what usually happens when we play Kill Team against each other. We played together. So we played the hidden enemy mission, the mission 1. And honestly, like, this is a mission where there's 5 objectives and you've got to go and activate the objectives. We took Angels of Death. We played against the Necron, basically Necron NPOs, just using essentially like warriors. And we I think we won the game like 3-2, maybe 4-2 or something. I think we lost about half of our guys. The problem is that the Amble hardly ever came in. So he didn't come in until almost the end of the game, and all he did was knock out our sniper. Based on like how we were drawing the cards, like he didn't actually get in until we were pretty much ready to run off the board. So, but he punched a sniper. He punched an eliminator sniper in the face in like one shot him basically. So,
yeah, the card draw thing is interesting. So, for the sake of those of you who are watching this on YouTube, and I hope there's a couple of you because I put on makeup for this bullshit, I swear to God. But so the deck comes with. Okay, so all the cards that come with the Nemesis Op, there is a group of them that is just, I believe it's from, I think it is 1 to 13, and the book does state if you don't have like the fancy card deck it comes with, that you can just use like a regular deck of playing cards. And the idea is based off the various scenarios in the book, how you decide activations and reinforcements is with the cards. So the same time I use these with the match today with the with that Destroyer Lord, there are some times where it activated only once in like the first turning point where stuff happened just because of card draws and just things being expended. And then there are times where like it activated at really inconvenient times. It's luck of the draw, purely.
So with
for that too, don't worry.
With these cards, the cards 1 through 13, in the Amble mission specifically, they're broken up into 2 groups. You have the activation deck and the intruder deck. So the activation deck is going to be 1 through 8, which tells you when you're actually activating an NPO, what the NPO is doing. And then with this, once you actually start doing mission actions, you actually start taking the objectives off the board. That's when you start drawing from the intruder deck. So that's going to be 9 through 13. Well, we didn't, and it either happens when you take the mission action off or at the end of the turning point after the first. So we didn't even draw the Amble until like turn 4 based on when we started, because we spent the first like 3 turns just shooting shit off the board rather than playing the mission. And then so the Amble didn't even come in until like, I don't know, like turn 5 or something. So
yikes. Okay.
Yeah. So we didn't get too much with the Amble. We did spend a lot of time with the Zote though.
Nice.
Okay. How did that go?
The archivist was not happy to see you.
So that's we can talk about that mission. Actually, so the archivist mission is interesting because we did the hidden enemy mission, and this is going to be a spoiler for anybody who's playing this mission as far as like the difficulty of the mission. So when you start this mission, sorry, not hidden enemy. It's the that's the Amble one. Hold please. We did basically mission 1 with the Zote, the archivist is what he's called in here, and it's called Betrayal. You do this on a Tomb World board, and essentially the archivist starts on your team. And so you are he's on your team and actually fighting with you. And then based on the card draws and what happens, based on dice rolls at the end of in the ready step of each phase strategic phase after the first, you roll a dice to see if the archivist turns on you. So and then you roll D6, and basically if you roll a 7+, with some modifiers on there, at that point then the archivist turns on you and starts shooting you or any of the other NPOs and stuff. Well, again, we just kind of like through RNG, he kind of was with us for the entire time and got kind of whittled down by the NPOs that were out there, and so our captain ran up and smashed him in the face and killed him. So it was kind of weird. But we still lost the mission though, even though we killed him, just based on how like the terms of the mission. This mission is really hard. You have to, because essentially there's you're on a Tomb World board, and at one end of it, you start at one end. At the other end is a room, and in that room there's some data that you have to get. You're supposed to grab it and drag it back across to your side of the board. Well, you only have 4 turns to do this, so if you don't have it, if you don't have it by turn 2, because once you have it, you can't dash anymore. You can only do moves, and you still go through doors, so you're losing an inch. If you don't have it by turn 2, you're not going to get it back to your side of the board. So I think we picked it up at like the middle of turn 3 and still had enough move to move it a little bit. But we lost because we couldn't get it back to our side of the board. So no, we tied because the Amble wasn't controlling it, or the Archivist was not controlling it, but we didn't have it back on our side of the board. So it's going to be a real tough mission. And we had Space Marines trying to do it. So
I should get one of those models and try that. All right, so I did 3 of these over the past week, and one of them was the Orc submarine thing that's in White Dwarf, and I went and borrowed like the orcs that Christina has to go use as NPOs because ones I have at the moment, and the purpose of doing that, not only because hey, submarine sounds fun, but it's also just that way I get to use the new NPO rules that came with the book, and the main reason for that is, like, I've been constantly trying to, whenever we get new rules for joint ops, adversary, or whatever, just try to see how well they integrate and fit in with one another, because I don't like it when things are a content island. Is anybody familiar with what that phrase means?
Yeah. I'm assuming that basically that is one piece that only works in its own self. It doesn't work with anything else in the game.
Yeah, so a good example, I'm going to throw one of my darlings under the bus here, is Warframe, where back when they were starting to introduce lots of the very kind of like pseudo open worlds, like the Plains of Eidolon, or Fortuna on Venus, and so on and so forth, about 3 open worlds, the entire Deviri experience with its own fighting style and everything that they mostly use as a test bed for the new game Soulframe, and then Railjack, which is stuff in space. All things that are very cool, their own systems, but for the most part, they don't influence any of the rest of Warframe, which is a very big game. So hence Content Island. They don't play with each other. Doing a lot of investment in one of these things doesn't do too much to help much of everything else. That's why I've gone through so much trouble to just everything that came through the Tomb World season, just kind of try to mash it together to see how well it works. Pretty well, for the record, and that's why I took some time to take stuff out of the book and throw it into older stuff or not Nemesis related things.
Now, Max, when you say it fits pretty well together, are you talking about as you can run it as a campaign, or just
Yeah, so I need to get back to this, but because I'm a psychopath and I've just been trying to just create the Dawn of War Dirt Crusade, campaign from first principles for a while, the whole shadow hunt the city, the stupid 40k name planet expedition thing works pretty well with a hex crawl stuff, and then you can add in all the other stuff from Tomb World that came out from other boxes, the White Dwarf stuff of Tomb World variants overlays into that pretty nicely, where it just kind of did a roll off to see what variant of Necrons had to deal with, the things that are bordering between open board hexes and ones that go into into close quarters. I decided the ones that are kind of bordering those regions, that's when we're going to do a split board, stuff like that. It all connects well enough together, which is good. And that brings me to the submarine, which is one, I'd say, really quick diversion. I have not had to actually put together a Gallowdark board for a couple of years since second edition, and whoever designed Tomb World for Games Workshop needs a raise, because that is such a nice, smooth experience putting that together and taking that apart compared to fucking Gallowdark.
I don't know about that.
God,
I disagree.
Yeah, I'm a Tomb World hater. It falls apart.
Yeah,
you look at it wrong, and it's fucking.
I'm going to say one thing in favor of Tomb World.
Definitely more stable or easy to put together, but it falls apart so easy, which is really annoying.
I'm going to say one thing in favor of Tomb World compared to Gallowdark, and that is that the pillars as designed, you can just slap stuff in any single way, compared to how half of the pillar stuff in base off positioning is just a solid surface with a little doodad on it, and you can't hook stuff into it. So that makes the entire thing more tedious.
Also, side tangent even more, Tyler, I love when you have your cats in your room because you'll have weird shadows in the wall, or occasionally a black void will just like consume you for a brief frame. I'm like, what the hell? Oh, it was a cat, and Tyler wasn't like possessed.
Yeah, there's Mr. Rufus passing by.
Hi,
You know,
Rufus.
if you take the time and you sand down ITD, it like goes together really well. I got a lot of compliments about how well my ITD went together and apart this weekend at our tournament. So I have heard people, they were like, "Oh, this is so nice. How do you get the tolerance?"
On
like
the
this?
third version of Gallo Dark, they're gonna nail both the ease of access because, like Max says, it's so much easier to set up, which is nice. And Brightside doesn't require like 2 to 4 hours of sanding beforehand.
Yeah,
but then it'll have stability, unlike Gallo or Tomb World, which is really cool looking, but the walls just flop over so easily.
It's gonna be Tyrannid Hive Ship.
It's just with those weird pillars sticking up into the air. I didn't know they did that until the animation. Yeah, that was nasty, man.
Don't give me hope. That sounds great.
That's my number one like terrain hope, or like way chaos, like mutated.
That would be fun, like proper Realm of Chaos. This weird shit.
Yeah, weird shit. Like give the designer just like way too many mushrooms and lock him in a closet to sculpt the walls.
It's Pride Month, Tyler. We're not locking anyone in a closet. We're hashtag allies here.
You're right, Connor.
Hashtag.
Connor's gone woke.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. What a piece of shit I am. Going woke.
No, I do.
On this podcast
before you got here. Anyway,
I do agree that Tomb World is much easier to put together, but a well prepared set of Into the Dark is a much better playing experience. And I also actually, you know what my beef with Tomb World is too? I don't like popping out the fucking doors. I like opening doors.
I'll agree to that. It's fun that there's the breach points just built in. That's really nice because every time I pull those out for Gallo Dark, people are like blown away. They're like, "How'd you get it?" I was like, "I just knew this shit wasn't gonna last, so I bought a set the second I could."
I wish I had any of the expansion stuff for Gallo Dark, but I don't.
I wouldn't say, honestly, check eBay. They go for like a little pricey, but I see regularly them for like $60 to $100, which like is still pricey, but for not findable isn't the worst. So
$60 to $100 for the all of the expansions, or like
individually the packs, like the bonus 3 packs they had, where it was all the narrative terrain, which like I like the narrative.
More aspect warriors or something for that, which I'd rather have.
True, I'm just saying, like if you're like me, and like I was able to get all of them thankfully through GW, but I do see them pop up on eBay relatively often, which is nice.
Yeah. So where were we? Right, Orc Submarine. So the fun thing about the reason I brought the NPO rules into that is both to see how like the okay, so I know you, Chuck, have run like join op stuff out of the core rulebook because we've talked about join ops and such on the podcast, and the kind of like very broad NPO stuff in the core book, they're serviceable, but they're incredibly generic. There's no like zest or like sauce to them at all. It's not comprehensive, and there's no whole lot going on of like a lot of minutia with a lot of stuff with the cards here. Like I know Drukari get like a couple different things for like your Kabbalite Warriors and like your Witches. It is just Guardians for like Craft Worlders. It's like I think it is just like the Votan have like 2. Tyranids and Gene Stews have like a lot of them. It depends from faction to faction what they go and like put like a lot of focus on or some of like the things here. But I had like a suite of 3 cards for like orcs. I had my Gretchen, my Knobs, and my regular boys, and then I had like this kind of a faction thing for them, which I believe made it so it was something that affected their like melee weapon, where they had like balanced or something when they were fighting melee, and a Nemesis Op that's an orc has like a slightly shittier kind of like shooting kind of like what up, like if they instead of on 3 up it's like a 4 up. And I bring this up because I do feel like the NPOs, the orc specific ones they threw into the submarine to go fight, did go and kind of help narratively with the experience, because they are all tailored to make sense for the kind of operative they are. Chuck, you're an orc person, I've heard a rumor of.
Oh, yeah.
When you think about orcs and how they fight, like what's the first thing you think of?
I mean, I think of just stuff going boom. I mean, that's their shooting. When I think of them fighting, there's like smashing stuff, basically.
Yeah, so they have like all the orc NPOs, like the basic kind of like orc guys, they have like a +3 up on any kind of like close combat stuff because they're big, muscly guys with big giant cleavers and such. And when it comes to shooting, it's 5 ups.
Yep.
And I don't know if you've looked at the rules for like the orc sub thing in White Dwarf, but there's a lot of stuff about how it is immediately like sinking from a breach point when it starts, and the mission has you keep track of any like dice that miss in shooting attacks from either your side or the NPOs, and then to do some math to see if rooms get breached, and that also floods. And I don't know if you know this about orcs, but they have guns that shoot a lot of bullets, and they suck ass at using them. So that led to very funny kind of scenarios, like something I described in our Discord, where an orc boy with a rocket launcher shot into a room at one of my Death Watch guys, barely hurt the Death Watch guy because 4 out of 5 of the dice missed, but did blow a hole into his own submarine that was already sinking.
I mean, that seems very orky.
It was very on brand. No complaints.
Did it drown the Death Watch guys? The real question.
No, they all got away. Whoa. I won that mission. One of them nearly died, but they all got away.
That's very Space Marine of them.
Yeah.
You know? Like, on brand.
Connor, if you could choose a single operative that you would drown, who would that be?
The Jaeger rocket guy. I'm tired of Blast 3-inch. I get that, which is funny because that happened to me, but at least on Rekkas I can remember it. I hate that fucking model because why does he have so many good profiles in 5 dice?
Like this guy with the little like the bipod and
yeah,
stuff.
I hate that dude. He's got every profile in the game. He's got 5 dice. I'm like, well, he hits on 4s. Fucking who cares? Every time my opponent rolls it, it's like, here's 3 crits and 2 hits. And I'm like, well, can't do anything about that. Oh, it's Blast 3 inches. And apparently Blast 3 still hurts a lot when you roll that good. And that makes me sad and mad. Otherwise, the Servitor from any of the Battle Clan. Because fuck you, you're a Servitor and I hate you.
I have good news on the Jaeger front. Because he is a manlet. You're not going to need a whole lot of water to get the job done.
Suck it, Sean. You guys weren't in the animation AdMech where this proves AdMech better than your fake-ass new faction. Now I get to be an old hammer and be like, this game was better before they added X faction.
Yeah, better before they added the dwarves. We don't need that kind of representation in my game.
Yeah, go. What's the thing they say in Deep Rock?
Rock and Stone.
That one. Oh, yeah.
Rock and Stone.
Thank you, Sean. All the love.
Kill Team Cascada and the Vox Cadia podcast would like to take, the time to say, despite the opinions of our host, we are not an anti-Short Kings podcast.
I'm like 5'6", so I'm definitely not. I don't hate myself that much.
You are loved here. Give us your money. Patreon.com. Okay, so. Did that. I went in the Typhon book. I went and did the first mission out of that, which is just going to go survey like these 4 kind of like mounds where like Nids are spawning out of. And that is when I went and brought my new son here. Like, I went and made a Nemesis Optigo intake. This is working name is Lunchbox. He'll probably not say that if I ever actually name him and get little fancy nameplates. But whenever I need to name something big and stupid in the game, Lunchbox. So I built him as a medium Nemesis Operative with like 50 hit points. He is like an Imperium one, so he has that thing where he gets to reroll defense thing for holding infinite territory. This is a mission where 3/4 of the board are Tyranid territory, so that didn't apply. I gave him an autocannon, I gave him a power fist, and I gave him, I think it's Indomitable it's called, where if he gets injured, it doesn't affect any of the weapon stats. And him, and because he's medium, it does go and trim down how many of your actual team you're able to take. So in the Death Watch's case, if it's a small Nemesis, you're only taking 4 of your regular guys. It is 3 of your regular picks if it is a medium, and then it's just 2 if it's a large. There is a whole table in the book to get down to kind of like specific the minutia. Like you lose more people like a horde team, obviously, the bigger the thing is. The balance comes from, ideally in their minds, you lose less of your regular, you lose more of your regular toolkit in people, the bigger your dude is, because the big guy is compensating. And he did do a good job killing all the Tyranids that were spawning, because I like to play Typhon stuff using the tables in the book where you don't just put down the Hormagaunts that came as NPOs. You do the roll table, so you decide if it's Termagants, Hormagaunts, Barbgaunts, Leapers, Raveners if you get like a 12. And
that sounds nasty, just popping in.
It does get nasty. Like, I haven't had the Raveners ever come in. I've had Barbgaunts and Leapers come in any mission I've done in Typhon, and they have been nasty every single time. I actually lost this mission in part because of a Barbgaunt that spawned in from one of the Typhon event cards, because... So, here's something that I don't think that really came up. You asked about mission actions with the Archivist thing, Chuck, in Discord when you were doing that, and
yeah, we couldn't figure out if the Archivist, because the Archivist was standing on top of the data thing, we couldn't figure out if he could pick it up and do something with it.
Now, here's the fun thing. As I read through the book, as I actually had to worry about piloting one of these suckers, it does specify about, in certain mission scenarios in the book, it will clarify if like a given Nemesis Op can do a thing, but otherwise, like, they are not, it explicitly says they're not capable of mission actions. So I'm in a scenario where I am playing a thing at a Typhon where there are 4 things that I have to perform a mission action on. And there are dormant Tyranids around the map. And if like they are hurt or I do the mission action and stuff like that on a bad dice roll, the alarm raises, and not only do they all activate, but more of them start to spawn. And there are chances, based off of the mission, doing like rolls on a 4-up on each one of the locations, that more of them will spawn. And after, let's see, the first turning point after the alarm went off, like only one came in one of these 4 points. On all the other ones after that, everything had something spawn. So there are a lot of Tyranids on the map, which the Dreadnought was doing a good job of autocannon and power fist and everything, just killing stuff. That wasn't necessarily a problem. It's just, I was in a scenario where to win the mission, I had to, after the alarm got raised, within a certain time frame of 3 full turning points with the alarm raised, after, like, not including the one where it goes up, and have to get across the board and interact with the 4 things. And I only have 3 guys now capable of doing mission actions. And if you are playing stuff honest, how things are supposed to work with joint ops when NPOs are activating is you're supposed to go ahead, if you have multiple options and stuff they can do, it is whatever is most inconvenient to you, the person playing.
So I feel like that's a hard part of the game too. Yeah. Is figuring out what the worst thing to happen is, and also making you do it to yourself.
Yeah. So one of the,
what if you have a lot of like white guilt?
Yeah. Well, so
who doesn't?
Yeah, exactly. So it's not that hard.
Yeah, so in this scenario, I have 3 guys who can do the mission action thing. The Dreadnought can't. So it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things if the Dreadnought dies. Like, the Tyranids do a couple times attack the Dread, but for the most part, they're going to focus on the regular Deathwatch guys. And like, one of the ones I sent in died kind of early on, again, like, focused really hard from things just running at them constantly. And what ultimately decided, and after so many things spawned in, and I had like a really desperate move where I just kind of ran a guy through, like, he had like a mass of them to interact with the thing. The other guy who would have done that on that last kind of thing before the clock ran out, he got taken out by a Barbgaunt who had been a problem all game, and then he died. And the Dreadnought was close to the last thing to be, dealt with. The Dreadnought's not doing that because he can't. It's a mission where you're planting little survey things. It's a Dreadnought. You know what it's probably not good at? Little fiddly tech things. So we can't do that. And the one guy who's alive who can just did his activations clear on the other side of the map. So my wife's Tyranids and all the Typhon stuff remains undefeated in my house still. You may ask, Max, how do you lose against playing effectively against yourself? I don't know, man. I used the roll table with the fucked up stuff, and all like the Raveners. We're doing gamer hours over here. It just happens.
You're doing what's worst for yourself, right? So of course you're gonna lose.
Like, if I'm doing joint ops, I'm just playing analog XCOM. And do you know what XCOM is? A game that sucks and makes you feel bad. So I think we've mission accomplished.
Pain simulator, yeah.
pain simulator. Yes.
Yeah, on the highest levels, Iron Man, you know.
Oh God, yeah.
Ugh.
Speaking of pain simulator, so as I said, I went in yesterday. I went and sent a picture from like Games Workshop's web store of the destroyer here from Indominus, the destroyer lord, and asked friend of the show Olivia, I want you to look at this thing and with the Nemesis rules, because I know you have the book. You've told me stories about how you're playing narrative stuff. With your Sanctifiers, you just dropped your like Celestine model onto the table and you did like a little narrative thing about how she came to protect the church and chaos was and is awesome. I've seen a lot of neat Nemesis stuff from the community. I saw pictures from I think like last Friday at like Comics Key people were playing, and I saw
Is Andy dead? What just happened to the poor boy?
Garage door opened.
Oh, poor baby. Yeah. Like I saw a nice picture of somebody using like Jane Dyer, the Phoenix Lord for the Howling Banshees in Kill Team, and they're fighting a chaplain on like a bike, and they're all in Tomb World. It looked ridiculous. I love it. More insane things like that, please. More of you guys having fun, please. But absolutely. I asked Olivia to build this thing, so I had to fight it in just the first mission in the actual like joint ops thing. Just I don't have an Nemesis Op. It's just 5 my Death Watch guys versus I just use only the cards that came with the Nemesis book. I just did it purely by like that book's rules. So just a bunch of Necron warriors based off like how their points buy stuff works, because their NPOs have like a points value, and the missions in the book specify like what the budget is kind of.
Okay.
So start off like 4 Necron warriors and then the big guy. And I have this card still. What awful thing did Olivia make me have to deal with again?
That's one thing. One thing I noticed actually too is that you build your NPOs differently in the Nemesis than you do in the other books.
Yeah, well, okay, so
Nemesis you have points, and then in the other books you go by wounds, right?
Yeah,
it's different. It's the annoying thing is it's different for everything. Any of the White Dwarf scenarios and the White Dwarf stuff or the Warhammer community things and stuff in the core book, it's based off a total of wounds. In both Typhon and Tomb World, it just assumes a maximum allotment of 10 NPOs on the board, and then this it is based off of kind of like a points buy system where these scenarios have a budget for NPOs, and that's adjusted based off of if there's a Nemesis and like what the size is, and then the NPO cards it comes with have their own. They do something different every single time, and there's not a lot of standardization, and it is a little bit annoying if you're, say, for example, putting all the rules together into a campaign in a hex crawl like a crazy person would. But so what dear darling Olivia did to me is with this Destroyer Lord, because has multiple like melee weapons model onto it, gave its Scything Talons, which 5 attacks on a 4/6 profile, and it's ceaseless. And I felt the ceaselessness of the attacks, trust me. In fact, the 2 Death Watch guys this model killed because of all the melee weapons in the ceaseless. And then also she gave it a star cannon that she reasoned it is, as a stand-in for like a heavy Gauss blaster. And that was a lethal 5-up with a piercing 1 thing on 5/6. And that nearly killed a 3rd guy. And it was kind of inconsistent when it wanted to activate. I think it activated once in the first turning point, and then it activated twice in both the ones after that, and it did a lot of annoying damage because it was the behavior that Olivia gave it was that of a battler, because there are cards in the deck that specify NPO behavior just like any other like NPO, like in any of the other expansions and such. It says it is one that is not player controlled, you assign it the AI behavior. So it was doing a whole lot of it wants to get close to characters, it wants to charge, it wants to fight, it will take shots at people if it has the opportunity, and it can't do any of the other things. And it took so much effort to actually kill this thing.
What size was it again? Was it a medium?
This was a medium with like 50 hit points, and it got like a negligible amount of like, from based off of like the rolls, we're getting like the maximum roll I could of the living metal thing, because fuck me, I guess it would gain back an average about like 4 hit points on any of these turning points after it got hurt. It took a lot of damage from my Watch Sergeant's power sword at first, and then after that it was just chip damage and stuff barely getting it. It survived two sets of attacks with 2 separate operatives. One had 1 hit point left because it had 4 dice to roll for defense.
Yeah, 4 defense dice.
Yeah,
It is
I'd
silly.
change
It is
that.
ridiculous. I did like win the mission based off of like the point values, like doing whatever the sabotage thing is based off the campaign structure it has. It was a major victory, but oh god, did none of my guys get out unscathed? It was rough. So they're fun to fight. You're basically monster hunting. That's just both of these. Controlling one, fighting one. This is just like the middle of the road, the medium ones. I cannot imagine how much of a pain in the ass this is with a large one.
Now, did you had a full Death Watch team, or did you have your lunchbox when you were fighting the
I did the full Death Watch one. I only did the Dreadnought for the second one in Typhon. The idea was I wanted to, along with the extra like the Tyranid, like the faction rule from the deck, where like being injured doesn't affect any of their like movement, or it's their damage profiles, their weapons. And that also bit me in the ass quite a bit, by the way, adding that in. That's why that one guy, like a 2 wound barb gaunt, was able to kill like that guy in Gravis armor and make it so I lost the entire mission, actually. So like those, like the faction rules that apply to all the NPOs, they do hit and do have and can change things. But I figured just we're going to chuck a Nemesis into thing not designed for it, then we're just going to do the thing vanilla. So just 5 guys having to fight this big thing. And it died. It took a lot of effort, but it did die.
Well, it's not like Death Watch don't hit hard either.
Yeah.
It depends. It always comes down to dice. Like I sent somebody in with like...
You said you had... the Watchmaster. What other operatives do you have again?
Okay, so into that one, because I figured I was only sending in Necron warriors and like this obnoxious, horrible thing. I sent in stuff. I sent in the Breacher. I sent in basically anybody with like guns they hit harder. The Breacher, it was the Phobos, like, you know, guy with like the scanning like stuff. It was both the marksman and the gunner. So had basically a stalker bolt rifle, had a plasma gun, had like, you know, like a melt-a-bomb, like fucking crack and frag grenades firing off and stuff like that. And it took a lot of effort to kill the thing. And that's 50 wounds a medium one. Like a large one is
75.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, if poor, like nice and, you know, at times long suffering, like Barry and Sam running their narrative league let me get away if we do get to do Nemesis stuff, I did trade away my old Hunter Clay team to somebody at the swap meet, and I got a whole ass Wraith Knight. That I don't know how well it'll fit on the board, but I have been looking at it, and it has been calling to me like the Green Goblin mask about put it on the board as a Nemesis. Fuck it. 3 striking scorpions in the Wraith Knight. See what happens.
There is some rules actually that say, and maybe this is, I don't know if this is for when they're running as NPO or your own Nemesis, that like you're supposed to pick up and take terrain off the board for certain stuff.
Yeah, it does
like if you have to stand in the middle of them, you can't get on vantage. And like if you're standing in the middle of a building and you can't stand there, you just take it off the board.
Yeah.
If it's player equipment, it's just gone.
Yeah, you stomp on that barricade, it's gone.
Yeah.
It also recommends with some things like, hey, maybe don't try to put a large thing into like, I don't know, a close quarters thing. It's not going to work out too well.
It does say that because they can't go through doors. So.
Yeah.
Be a good boss fight though. I mean, you just like arena style. No. But well, I mean, I don't know, from the 2 games that Nick and I played, again, it was nice because we didn't fight. Nick has a lot of like disagreements with the rules, and he's real heavy on what the lore says something should do versus what the actual rules of the game should do. So there was one time where I had a couple beverages and I had to apologize afterwards because I got snippy with him. So, but I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Nick's a sensitive soul.
Can't be
because he's a sensitive soul.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you had a lot of fun, and I'm glad this book exists, because the same reason I focus on like joint op stuff so much is I have heard that like mainline like 40k players are hesitant to and are sometimes afraid to play kill team because this is the competitive game, apparently.
Supposedly more complicated than 40k.
More complicated and crunchier and more competitive and stuff like that. And yet we talk a lot about like tournaments and stuff like that on this podcast. We run them and everything. But there's a lot of, things that are not as like, not as straight up just like approved ops tournament style like play stuff that they've put out for this edition, and it can make it so it's not always like all gas no brakes all the time.
Yeah.
Play with the giant fucking like Wraith Knight on the board, and you're barely anything with like a Blades of Cain comp to make sense. Whatever, grab something off of your like big hammer team and like find a way to make it work. Have fun with it. Like whimsy max the game just a little bit.
The game is always what you make of it, right?
Yeah.
Like I see a lot of people bitching about tournament approved layouts for 40K. And it's like, you don't have to fucking play that layout. You don't have to play the layouts in the approved ops pack. You do whatever you want. You could you can cut a board in half and stick them narrow edge, creating a long team board.
Hell yeah, you
get bit in the ass by your own creation.
Yeah, I mean,
Tyler.
turned out well.
That I played back at CritCon when I was doing the doubles was the tall team one.
Yeah, we did tall long team this weekend.
It was a good time.
So yeah,
It was wild.
Say one thing with a lot of the scenarios for like White Dwarf and in like the books, like the Typhon book and this one and everything, is it assumes that you have Tomb World, which I do, and then it also assumes you have Vulcus, which I don't. What I do have is a lot of the Sector Mechanicus crap, and also like the contents of the Chalnoth like box from last edition. So I always have to, when I'm doing stuff like this, look at what it has Vulcus doing, look at my like very kind of weird terrain collection, and I have to just kind of wing it and get creative. And one hand, I like Vulcus, so I don't have to do that. On the other hand, I don't, so I can keep doing that because it makes it so I have very odd, interesting. Whenever I have to figure out how to like make one of those strongholds work with like one of like the L-shaped kind of pieces of terrain, and then that big kind of cathedral thing with the big open door from Chalnoth and like all like the pillars and such, it always makes really weird, interesting like interactions with like how fighting goes, getting into and out, like line of sight, stuff like that.
Absolutely. I for that big piece of terrain, I actually broke it in half from Chalnoth. Because like I assembled it like as the book went. Yeah, I ended up snapping it in half, and now it's 2 pieces of terrain.
It's because Tyler just breaks people terrain. Tyler took off my terrain one time.
What terrain?
Did he snapped the decks off some of my Octarius shit for a tournament one time. There's too much vantage for him. So
and then it just slots back in. You never know.
Flawless. Yeah, it'll never be the same. But no, I'm Connor. Go ahead.
Oh, I don't even remember some comment. You know what I do?
Yeah, I know what you do. I from playing the couple Nemesis missions with the Archivist and the Amble, makes me want to go back through my books that I have for this edition because I to be honest, I don't read any of the lore out of the books. I can't read. And I haven't done any of the NPO stuff. I like open the box, I put the book away, and I take the cards and I go play competitive-ish. So I'm actually excited to go back through and play through some of the scenario stuff and get into more of the Nemesis stuff from this. So, and I think that having those big boy monsters, like I got excited for the Night. Was it the Night Fiend? Is that the good?
The Nightbringer.
And got it and then never did anything with it. So I'm glad that I had the Amble, the Zote, the Amble built already. So it was easy to slot that in. And then after we played that mission, we went down to the GW store and picked up the Zote and came back and played that mission. So I'm excited for this stuff, and I want to do more of it. I want to make Nick play with me.
Like, one thing I have liked about the joint op stuff is it also makes me look at stuff in my collection, decide what is worth keeping and what can because I have at the moment for
everything.
Wise, I don't have everything, but I have a lot of stuff between. I have a lot of stuff between obviously Imperial stuff, Tal, like Necrons, Chaos, like a bunch of things where I have a lot of different kind of like a large swath of stuff for like NPO like factions when doing joint ops or adversary stuff like that. And that's made it so I can just look at other things that I might want to get that could be like a Nemesis or stuff to like keep and hold on to. I was going to sell off all the Paragon Warsuits at, like along with a bunch of the other sisters. I have kept one from my own like Celestians, for example.
Yes.
I saw on Reddit today that somebody had they used Morven Vol as a Nemesis operative.
Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah, which that's one that I've got sitting somewhere. So yeah, I think it's I don't know. I really like the new Nemesis stuff. I'm
looks cool.
interested to play more. So
like I severely doubt that at like we're not going to see like those take the field on like I don't know like Tacoma or something because there's I'm sure kind of balance issues. I've seen Reddit bitching about how does this mode work? I went and made this. It got like I got shit stomped completely. My name's got like focus fired really hard, stuff like that. I feel like maybe there needs to be an agreement with players on like a weight class when it comes to like a Nemesis a little bit, but also it could just be, just piloting issues. It always could be piloting issues with people.
For sure.
Who knows?
Yeah. You never
Skill
know
issue.
how people are playing it, right?
Yeah.
So.
I do. I mean, I saw the same stuff on Reddit that you were talking about too. How they were talking about their 50 wound model just gets focused down because they can't hide behind anything and they're on engage all the time. It sounds like.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, that's what's going to happen. You're not going to have a dreadnought hiding behind a little piece of rubble that we can hide a regular Marine behind.
Yep.
Yeah, you have to get smart with like heavy cover and other stuff like that, and like you have to. It's going to make you change up how you're interacting with the game and what your tactics are if you have this big silly thing that you have to be smart for your positioning so it doesn't get blown up by like 15 guys, and it also has weapons capable of blowing up 15 guys. Like case in point, it like bringing the thing with the big auto cannon so I could like in whenever I'm playing like a Dawn of War game have the Dreadnought just run house on like Hormigons did not make it so I won the Typhon mission because I still had to worry about like mission interactions and I ran out of guys who could do that. Having a big motherfucker is not going to be like a win button.
Yeah.
Connor, you can do an Iron Strider is recommended one on the GW website.
I saw. I got a bunch of my Castellan robots I can run to, which will be fun.
Yeah, Castellans are in there too.
Yeah.
I actually want to hear from each one of you, like whatever team you're currently playing right now, whatever your like main is, or your current favorite team you're playing. Like ideal Nemesis Operative from like stuff in your model range or things you could kit bash. Do you have any ideas?
I think I would do like a really big chaos guy for my Felgor because I have like the Centurion from Warcry, like the one that's like the what is it? He's like what's the thing that's part horse?
Centaur.
Centaur, yeah.
Centaur. Okay.
Yeah. But like I think it'd be really cool as like a big monster for Beastmen.
That would go great with the Felgor, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just like maybe like Chaos Lord that like ascended, and he got more human as he went up on its upper half, and Bestial on the bottom half. Like that'd be cool. Or like I'm excited about the Zote because I've had the Zote for a while. So I'm really excited to play him.
I'm looking at the Zote in the Amble in the web store, and it is calling to me.
I mean, I think I've got a Redemptor Dreadnought that I built a long time ago, and I'm missing some pieces now. He's primed, but he's actually, and you can't really see, but he's actually got like Blood Angels bits on him too that I ordered online. And I've never got him painted up, so I think that would be cool. He's got the plasma cannon going on too. So you run that with my Angels of Death on that. So I think that would be a fun one.
Oh yeah.
I've been playing Nemesis Claw right now, but what would be a good Nemesis Claw one?
Contemptor
Dreadnought
or Dreadnought, Hellbrutes in general.
Helldrake.
Helldrake's probably too big. That's a big model.
Yeah.
How down are the Night Lords aren't like too really down of like chaos and blessing. So like a greater demon or something, or like a demon prince probably wouldn't work, would it?
They're so. Like,
It depends on the warband, right?
Yeah, right. For my warband of them, they lean towards like kind of Vashtor and stuff like that. And so I have a Lord Discordant that's like the leader of the warband. So like that'd be a model that like you could fit in.
What are the new guys they just dropped for Chaos?
Mutilators.
Those guys. Yeah, Mutilators could work well for like any of the Chaos Marines. They're like a little
possessed,
bad.
you know. So
one thing I have noticed and thought about, because I did also see on the web store, because they clearly just kind of threw their hands up and didn't have any ideas when it came to like Votan for Nemesis guys here. They said, I don't know, here's a card, but they do have bases, which is important, because I know that one of the first ideas I had is, oh god, it'd be so fun like having to fight like a handful of guardsmen in like a tank. A Lehman Russ doesn't have a base. So it doesn't necessarily work. Like this Treyarch start, this ridiculous spider mech I have for my Necrons, which would have been my first pick, also does not have a base. So it's very hard to judge what its profile is for like aiming and also getting into like melee. So that's kind of a problem. That is one of the things that is kind of holding stuff up here a little bit.
It's funny they put the Votan tanks in, but not their the robots. They got the Ironkin Steeljacks. Like that's the same size as a Crisis.
Steeljack, one of those guys people hate so much. I think they're great. I think I love a ridiculous looking model.
They are dumb.
Yeah, but like dumb in like a good way, you know.
I like their guns.
Yeah, not even a good way.
They're like an ugly cute. Speaking of things that are, you know. Okay, speaking of bad segues and ugly models, Connor. Well, no, we were just talking about that, like Night Lords. Playing a lot of Chaos, kind of like Iron Warriors, like Kit Bash Marine teams. Like,
I have a lot of ideas. Pretty much any of the Heresy robots, since I'm Iron Warriors like teamed up with Vastor, so those all work. You know, throw in some like Hellbrute and Contemptor, just make it weird shit. I need to see
Venom Crawler.
The Venom Crawler would be really cool, but I just don't know if it like how big that is. The new flying one that came in the Skitarii box for Heresy, since I think the Death Guard, it recommends bringing their little foated blight drone or whatever. That'd be kind of fun to chaos up.
Okay.
For Eldar, obviously the Wraith Lord, like, because I think that's just their version of a Dreadnought, would be kind of fun to like.
Yeah, that's the closest equivalent.
Yeah, or what are the Wraith Guard? Is that the tinier versions that are like?
The Wraith Guard are the infantry line ones that are same idea, where it's like a Soul Stones, but in so it's, you know, they're able to fight.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Lord
for
is
my
the bigger one,
Corsairs.
and then
Avatar Kane.
That would be fun.
Avatar of Kane is a thought that I had. Avatar of Kane's a thought I had. I have a full Wraith Knight that I am, you know, just about done paint stripping. I'm going to go ahead and paint up for, you know, Biotan colors, which I think that's going to be an open board thing if I can make that work for Kill Team. And if people don't see me bring it out and just say, no, fuck you, absolutely not, immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Which is valid if that happens. It's the size of an Imperial Knight.
Yeah, carnivores are one of the ones they recommend also.
Yeah, just any of the War Dog kits. Like carnivores are fun because they're all melee focused, but
yeah, it does absolutely recommend War Dogs as well, so that's another good option.
I do have the Beast Boss on Squigosaur. Actually, I think
that'd be a fun one.
Oh yeah.
Like NPO wise, I am looking at the Armageddon like launch box, and like all of the orcs in there would, with the newer like rules for like your grots and your boys and your knobs and stuff, would work great. You could probably go and like theory craft some like small level things for a couple of the things like the pain boy or whatever. But that guy on like kind of like the mech open with like, you know, the big gun, that is a good like orc nemesis guy right there.
Yeah.
For example,
well, that's basically a dreadnought. So
yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good one. So go in the comments and tell us what you would use as a nemesis.
Absolutely.
Like and subscribe. So
Not only that, but honestly, by the time CritCon rolls around, those of you guys who are doing can I propose something, actually?
Let's
just forget about what I was about to say. If we're doing hobby challenge for Killscream 5, what if we make people have to make a nemesis to go to their team? It won't necessarily see play during Killscream itself, but on top of specifically, what if you have to go and like stat up and like build in like a thematically appropriate nemesis?
You know, I'm not going to say you have to, but I'm going to give extra points
for the hobby challenge.
Absolutely.
Like if you're trying
to kind of already did that last year in itself. We did to create a warlord, so this is just the next step.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Now you're not only you're trying to do it to win the hobby challenge, you are also, for if you're doing more casual games where you will have rules, you can put him onto the board now. If anything, by putting this out here to encourage you to paint stuff, we're doing you a favor. You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, like, I did an additional hobby challenge last year, so maybe we'll do that. I'll sponsor it.
Yeah.
So we'll think about it. We'll get some parameters for that, and we'll see what the community thinks from there. So
Yeah.
let us know your thoughts in the comments on all the places like Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, especially. Copy the link, but don't share it everywhere. And you can catch us out on all the interesting places like Instagram. Chuck's at Painting Cave Minis. I'm at Lowbrow Minis. Chuck's at Spanaway on everything. Max runs our Vox Cascadia one. I don't think you really have a personal Instagram you use, right?
I need to get back to using it. I've actually been thinking about, because I had so much fun. My little Deathwatch Dreadnought, that was a model I had from when I was like middle or high school, and I completely I gave it a very nice little facelift. There's an LED in there, and I carved out the visor. Even it looks super nice, and I had a lot of fun with that. And I didn't document the process any. So I've had the thought of not only showing off a lot of like painting work I do on my own Instagram, which would be Blind Observer. That is probably blind. The O is 0 in that because I have to fight for the username. But I'm considering, I have, when Troll Trader waived their like US tariffs, I went and, because I realized I had a lot of fun doing that, I went and found in their like scrap heap like budget section because I have so many like TEL stuff, like I have a full Pathfinders team and a lot of drones that can also work as NPOs. I found the absolute shittiest looking in the scrap heap, just TEL. I think it's like a Cold Star like Commander battlesuit. It has the pose is bad. It has paint that is so thick and like cracked on it. It looks like damp clay, like like dried in like the sun. It's rough looking, and I am thinking about like kind of doing like a craft video of just like trying to fully restore it and see if I actually like the process of doing that kind of content for YouTube. So maybe keep an eye out for that at some point. And if I don't want to kill myself midway through the process of editing and filming all that, maybe there'll be more.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, stay tuned here. We'll post updates if Max goes ahead and goes through with that. Also, check us out on our Patreon, Vox Cascadia Podcast on there, and YouTube. Vox Cascadia there. Thank you so much for listening to us. We really appreciate it. Happy Pride Month. It's without queer voices and queer members of our community, Kill Team Cascadia and Vox Cascadia would not be what it is. Right now there is a lot of things in the world that are rallied against queer people, and there's a trans genocide going on right now, and we need to recognize that and do what we can to support our queer members of the community. Anyways, we love you. Good night.